We are going up these stairs that you mentioned to me earlier. How many are here?
40. 4 sets of 10. And to your left is the rail for the lift. So if we have students in wheelchairs or crutches or whatever, it takes about 9 minutes to take the trip up from the top to the bottom, or the bottom to the top.
Look at these windows. These are the single pane windows you were mentioning, or actually not a single pane window, but a single pane wall.
The entire stairway is encased in these walls. And unfortunately, in the wintertime, it's very cold as the wind kind of blows through, and in the summertime, it's very hot as the sun beats down.
I remember when my kids were here, my son would complain because he was up in the top portion here in his second grade classroom in the middle of winter when it would be about 10 degrees out. He'd want to come to school in shorts and t-shirts.
Right. The boiler system is original, and it has to get all the way down to the other end, which is very far. And the other piece is all of our specials, art, music, PE, are upstairs.
I'm just going to take a shot all the way down here. That is what the little kindergartners, first graders, and second graders have to go up and down day after day.
Day after day, so a couple times a day.
Here's a little video clip of the current gym. The new gym would be a little bit smaller than this, I understand. Is that true?
Correct. This is a gym really a full-size basketball court gym, which you really don't need for an elementary school. So yes, our gym would be much more size appropriate for the age group.
So the square footage would be better utilized in classroom space.
Absolutely.
Can we take a look at the locker rooms? I understand that's more wasted space because they're not used anymore.
Right, absolutely. It's storage space. Yep.
Okay, let's go take a look. So this is the current storage space.
Yep.
And this used to be the old locker rooms. Was it for girls or boys?
The upstairs is boys, I believe, and I believe the girls were down. This is where the lockers were. Currently what I've done is each teacher has space up here to keep the materials that they're not currently using, because there isn't enough room in their classrooms.
Okay.
There are a couple office spaces up here as well, but mostly just storage.
Mrs. Wallace, what is this space used for now, and what was its original purpose?
Originally, this was a book storage closet, but we literally are using every inch of this building that is usable. So what we have done in the last year is taken out the cabinets and put in office space. It's used for special education testing as well as a therapeutic office.
Mrs. Wallace, what is this room that we're in now?
This is currently the art room.
Mm-hmm.
If you look behind you, what we have had to do is section off a portion of the room that's used for office space for one of our special education teachers, and also an educational space for small group work. But this is currently the art room. We think it was probably a science room at one point because a lot of the drawers here are very small, like for petri dishes and slides, so it's not really usable space. Many of these counters here are not really usable, but they are permanent. We cannot remove them. But this is currently the art room.
Now,
and this is another example of one of the window walls that we talked about. And literally in the wintertime, the heat just goes right out the window.
well, it's pretty to look at, I'm sure, with the trees there, but I can imagine that it's not very energy efficient.
Correct.
Mrs. Wallace, we're in a second grade classroom now, aren't we?
Yes. Yep. This is typical of the kind of materials that you need to have available for students as they work, so that it looks like it's cluttered, but in actuality it's not. It's space being used as best in very efficiently. If you look at the kids' space, they have plenty of room to move around, but all of the materials that the teacher needs have to be in the same space as the student, so it's around the edges. And it's also about 200 square feet smaller than the state recommendations at this point.
My daughter was actually in this classroom quite a few years back. It's colorful, but it is crowded with a lot of the supplies that the kids need every day.
Absolutely.
I agree with you on that. So now we are in the library, which is up on the second floor. So the students are up and down the stairs, as we mentioned, back and forth to the library to use that. This looks kind of small for a library, in my parental opinion. What can you tell me about this room?
Again, this is my second year. My understanding is that there was no library originally in this building. About 3 or 4 years ago, the Kolak family donated money to turn this classroom into a library. We're very fortunate that that happened. There are books and brightly painted walls that the PTO helped us do this year. But for this age group, there's currently 500 students in the building. That's not a lot of books for a library to have. But then again, there's not a lot of space to put more books in. So the new building has a dedicated media center with technology as well as books that's significantly larger than this and more appropriately sized for the approximately 720 students that will be in the new building.
We're down in the first grade wing,
Yes.
and I see some cubbies here. These are used by the students.
Yep, several of the classrooms, because the lockers are large and much too tall for the kids, the hooks for the lockers are way, way up here.
Which is appropriate for people our height
Right,
as adults.
And for those 5th, 6th, and 7th graders that this building was originally built for. Some of the teachers opt to have the kids use the lockers, but some of the teachers also have used some of the money to purchase cubbies, which is much more age appropriate.
Mrs. Wallace, I've had the opportunity to tour this building a few times. Different events that have been held here.
Right.
You've taken me around and shown me some of the things I've had questions about. If some of the residents of town would like to see this, how can they go about getting a tour of the school?
We have some meetings that we're setting up. One exciting event is our first annual health fair that we're going to be having on June 15th and 16th. That's a Friday and a Saturday after school's out, from 10 to 2. And I will also be available on those days to give anyone a tour of the building that wants to. I'm also working with the Friends of Webster Public Schools to set up some evening meetings so that folks can come in and find out about the building, ask their own questions, meet with the builder, not the builder, the designer, and our project manager to find out any details that they need to. Those dates are kind of still up in the air, but they'll be posted soon on websites, and so people can come tour at those times as well.
Well, thank you for that tour.
Absolutely.
Now, as I understand it, the special town meeting that is June 11th, Monday, June 11th at 7 p.m. at the high school,
Correct.
is to see if the townspeople approve to get this whole question on the ballot to be able to vote for it.
That's my understanding, yes.
And then the next important date would be June 25th, correct? Is that a Monday also?
Yes, it is.
And that is, if it's approved to be on the ballot,
Correct.
we actually need people to go and vote for this, whether they approve it or not.
Correct.
And voting hours are,
7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and the vote is at the town hall.
Excellent.
And both votes are mandatory. Both votes have to happen and both votes have to pass in order for the project to move forward.
As a parent, in closing, what I would like to say is the website, www.whydoitnow.com, has a lot of useful information. It has contact information if you'd like information from parents or a parent support group, those of us who do support this building project. And Carrie, if you could just tell us one more time the website of the architectural firm.
WPSbuildingproject.com.
So it's not, is that put out by the architects or
That's put out by the school building committee.
the Webster School Building Committee? And it has factual information
Absolutely.
about what we can find here at this building that doesn't meet state standards.
Right.
What we're looking to achieve, should the town approve to build a new building, and some of the cost information also.
Right, as well as the process to get to this point. So if anyone has any questions about how much was actually investigated through the feasibility study or want to see that process, that's all on there as well as where we're at now.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And please remember, if you'd like to have a tour of the building, please contact Mrs. Wallace here at Park Ave Elementary. The phone number is 508-943-4554. You can also contact the administration building and talk to Dr. Gregory Ciardi, who's the superintendent of schools. That is 508-943-0104, extension 11. Thank you.